Thank you for coming today. This slideshow is based on a training created by Indivisible, which is a national group with more than 2,000 chapters throughout the United States. The leadership of Indivisible developed a training called 1 Million Rising to educate us all about authoritarianism, the threat of authoritarianism we are currently facing in this country, and ways we can fight back. This 30-minute slide presentation condenses the information that was presented in three 90-minute trainings. View these trainings on YouTube by searching for Indivisible 1 Million Rising. Discussion questions are part of this presentation, and posted below are suggestions for ways to engage. However, keep in mind that no one can do everything, but each of us should be able to do something. We hope you find this training meaningful. What words might characterize the country we want to live in? Then, how can we recognize if we are at risk of losing our democracy to authoritarianism? Finally, what can we do to effectively resist?
An America that is committed to civil liberties, to justice for all, to compassion, to the rule of law.
How might you describe the country you want to live in? Pause the video to consider this. Share your thoughts or write them down. We are in the middle of an authoritarian breakthrough. It's when authoritarian regimes work quickly to consolidate power and eliminate the checks that could stop them. Pause the video to think about or share ways the current administration is doing this. National Public Radio's Weekend Edition called out this administration on their authoritarian grab in May 2025. It was reported that Stephen Levitsky, professor of government at Harvard University, said that this is an elected government, but it is behaving as an authoritarian one. And it was added that people who fled an authoritarian regime say Trump's tactics remind them of home. These are warning signs that signal an attempted autocratic breakthrough. Which of these is Trump doing? Directing investigations against critics. Giving license to lawbreaking. Regulatory retaliation. Deploying military domestically. Federal law enforcement overreach. The autocrat won't leave. What does an aspiring autocrat want us to do? Ask yourself, do you find yourself doing any of these? Excusing his crackdowns, rehashing his atrocities instead of strategizing resistance, believing we are alone in feeling fearful, fighting with each other over tactics, choosing comfort over courage, feeling too overwhelmed to resist. How does an autocrat get what they want? By flooding the zone with executive orders, outrageous statements, and ridiculous ideas, like making Canada the 51st state. They keep us distracted and in turmoil. It's exhausting and can easily detour us from finding ways to resist what they are actually doing. What can we do instead? Continue to pay attention by balancing action and exhaustion. Monitor and regulate our news intake. Don't doom scroll. Skim news that is pertinent to you and skip the rest. Keep in mind that action can be an antidote to feeling helpless. Remember, keep the focus on what we can do, not what he is doing. We must create a large community to carry out peaceful resistance. Using nonviolent tactics, we can educate and recruit millions to disrupt the goals of this regime. Researchers looked at 35 cases of democratic backsliding across all countries from 1991 to 2021, and how often people were successful in restoring their democracy. When there was no civil resistance, the democracy was restored in only 7.5% of the cases. But with sustained civil resistance, over half of the democracies were successfully restored. It's no guarantee, but it's a reason to be hopeful that sustained resistance can work. Examples are Ukraine and Poland. History shows that civil resistance has worked when it's widespread and sustained over time. Sustained over time is the key phrase here. According to a study from the University of Gothenburg in Sweden, these are examples of countries that returned to democracy after experiencing some form of autocracy. We could add Brazil to this list since former President Bolsonaro has been convicted and sentenced to a 27-year prison term for plotting a coup after his 2022 election loss. We can use many types of resistance to fight back, and simply raising awareness with t-shirts, buttons, and lawn signs can help people feel less isolated, and therefore braver. Showing up in numbers is important, and all across America, people have done just that. The next slide shows people in the April 2025 hands-off marches around Oregon. Before viewing, pause the video to think or talk about the demonstrations that have happened where you live. Did you participate? What were they like? If you didn't participate yet, would you consider joining a peaceful demonstration in the future? Why or why not? This graphic came from the 1 Million Rising training, and the idea of pillars came out of a project which included experts at Harvard. The project refers to societal institutions as pillars. These are a few of the pillars of support which can be corrupted to prop up an autocratic regime by offering benefits to members within a pillar. However, pro-democracy movements can succeed by countering those benefits and inducing defections within the pillars. Pause the video to consider other pillars that could be used to support this regime. Media, for example. What might be some others? Here are a few ways this administration is influencing a particular pillar. They offer tax breaks to businesses, promise benefits to labor, make laws that support religious views, withhold money from educational institutions, and install loyalists in civil service positions and in the military. Please consider or discuss ways we can interrupt these tactics. This is an example of a business pillar. At the core is the CEO and managers. But key to the pillar's support are the workers and the consumers, and that's where the general population can have an effect. We may not be able to change the minds of those in the inner core of the pillar, but by applying pressure in the way of boycotts and defections, we can disincentivize support for the autocratic regime because it becomes unprofitable to do so. Pause the video to consider some successful examples of this. For example, Tesla boycotts and Jimmy Kimmel's reinstatement on Disney. We, the people, have been successful in eroding several pillars in business, and here are some examples. What can we do? It's important to start wherever you can. Begin with what's comfortable. Let our legislators know what we want and thank those who act bravely. Write to your representatives even when you agree with what they're doing. Janelle Bynum, an Oregon congresswoman, reminds us that letters of support are the ammunition she needs to take to Washington, because statistics are important in making her point. It's also important to thank those who act bravely and speak out. Send them emails or write them letters to show them that you are noticing and appreciating their bravery. If you can, donate to pro-democracy candidates and organizations. Volunteer to help those candidates by phone banking, letter writing, canvassing, or in whatever way you are able to. Raise awareness of those around you by wearing buttons, t-shirts, and putting in yard signs that let people know that they are not alone in feeling uneasy about what's happening. It can help others feel braver to speak out. If you're able, join a protest march, rally, or a demonstration. Numbers are extremely important to show that there is widespread support or opposition to what's going on. Boycott businesses as a way to protest and let them know why you are no longer supporting them. In addition, it's particularly effective to share this video with others. It was created to raise awareness and grow the number of activists we need to be successful. View it with friends, neighbors, and family members. It can be fun and rewarding to work together. Pause the video to share what you have already done or what you might be willing to do. Non-cooperation tactics are already having an effect. Some examples include workers who refuse to carry out illegal orders by quitting, those in power who refuse to condone unjust policies, consumer boycotts of businesses. Mass strikes are effective when we have enough people to carry them out. Cities, governments, organizations, and individuals are supporting those under attack to show them that our communities care. In Portland, Oregon, Portland Immigrant Rights Coalition provides legal help for immigrants and volunteers to accompany people at their hearings, among other services. To provide assistance where you live, you could look for similar services in your area. Check with your local ACLU. Contribute to nonprofits that can support those left behind. Pause the video to ask others if they know of ways to provide help to those who are being taken by ICE or to provide assistance for those left behind.
I volunteer with Portland Immigrants Rights Coalition, and we go down to the immigration court to help people with their hearings. And those people seem really happy to have someone on their side.
What makes people power successful? Success depends on large and diverse participation, but most important is sustained momentum. The 3.5% rule will be explained further in the next slide. Success requires using a repertoire of nonviolent tactics, eliciting loyalty shifts among key pillars, and maintaining discipline in the face of escalating repression. Think about the escalating resistance during the civil rights movement.
Sort of backstory behind the 3.5% rule is that my colleague Maria Steffen and I together wrote a book in 2011 called Why Civil Resistance Works. And what we did there is we looked at 323 campaigns that you would call, say, maximalist campaigns. So they were trying to oust dictatorships. They were trying to expel foreign military occupations or achieve independence against a colonial regime. And we found in that book a couple of important things. One is that the campaigns that had relied on people power, which is civil resistance, nonviolent civil resistance, where unarmed civilians prosecute the conflict using strikes, protests, boycotts, and other unarmed methods, were more than twice as likely as their armed counterparts to have succeeded. So where the 3.5% rule comes in is that in our book, we argued that mass participation is a critical reason why nonviolent resistance is more likely to win. It's easier to get huge numbers of people participating in nonviolent resistance from all walks of life, and it's a much more inclusive technique of struggle.
You can build your power and have fun by connecting with others for community resistance. Indivisible, as you have learned or already knew, is a very active national group that inspired this training and has inspired others to form their own indivisible groups. Every group is unique to the values and goals of those who formed it. You can find a local Indivisible group near you that fits with your style by searching the Indivisible website. If you live in Oregon, there is a lot of information on a website with the acronym COIN, like the money. It stands for Consolidated Oregon Indivisible Network. It was formed because there are so many indivisible groups all over Oregon that coordination was needed, and COIN fills that role. It acts as an information hub to spread information and connection among these groups. If you live in Oregon or Southwest Washington, it's recommended to sign up for their newsletter. If you live elsewhere, check to see if there is a group like COIN in your state. If there isn't, maybe it's time to start one. In the next video, you will hear from someone who joined Indivisible Oregon. It's one of the many Portland Indivisible groups and is the largest and has many ways to get involved.
I just joined Indivisible Oregon. And so probably a couple of weeks, and I knew as soon as I joined with this group of people that there were lots of different ways I can get involved and help. So I just jumped right in and started chairing the arts committee. So there I was doing work with other people just as excited.
Here are several more ways to get involved that you can do with others or on your own. Write letters and postcards to prospective voters. Vote Forward and postcards to swing states are good ways to do that, and sometimes you can find a group in your area to provide the stamps. You can put up yard signs or carry one in an in-person protest. Look for protests in your area by signing up with 5051, which stands for 50 protests, 50 states, 1 movement. Remember, enough non-cooperation will cause a pillar to be unreliable or completely defect. Pause the video to think about or discuss what you can do to crack the pillars. By using resistance and non-cooperation, we can protect our democracy.
My vision for America has to do with the song that Burt Bacharach did a few years ago. What the world needs now is love, sweet love.
Thank you for watching. It's not the end. We are just beginning. Look at the resource lists on this YouTube channel and think about or share something you have done or can add to what you are already doing. Once again, no one can do everything, but everyone can do something. Together, we can be successful.